Tonight, Attorney General tears into NDC's record on the fight against illegal mining, describing it as wretched and miserable as he fights back after the main opposition party accused him of complicity in a plot to cover up for government officials engaged in galamsey. Meanwhile, the Ghana Bar Association has been questioning government's approach to the fight against galamsey, demanding a crackdown on corrupt politicians behind the galamsey menace.
Despite the efforts and assurance of government to deal with the menace, there appears to be a general consensus that not much has been done to effectively and roundly deal with it. Galamsey is controlled and funded by a network of corrupt public officials, politicians, traditional rulers, and wealthy and powerful business interests.
And hello, good evening, and welcome to this.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Vodafone. He has been under fire from the NDC for alleged complicity in a cover-up to shield government officials implicated by former Environment Minister Professor Frimpong Boateng in his explosive report on illegal mining. Today, Attorney General Godfrey Adame has been fighting back. He has been tearing into the record of the NDC on the fight against illegal mining, describing it as wretched and miserable. More on that shortly. But first, the Ghana Bar Association has today been wading into the controversy surrounding the galamsey crisis and questioning government's approach. Addressing a news conference earlier, President of the Ghana Bar Association, Yao Champon Bafo, asked government to target corrupt politicians bankrolling and profiting from galamsey.
The harmful effects of galamsey are all around us. We cannot gloss over. Land for the cultivation of staple food and cash crops have been affected. There are studies that galamsey is contributing to death amongst children. Despite the efforts and assurance of government to deal with the menace, there appears to be a general consensus that not much has been done to effectively and roundly deal with it. The GABA holds the view that a lot more can still be done to effectively deal with the menace. That poses a serious threat to our survival, especially in this period of climate change concerns. We call on government, political leadership, and key stakeholders to show more political will and integrity in decisively dealing with the galamsey menace. This can be done if the real powers behind the galamsey menace are identified and dealt with in accordance with law. Galamsey is a capital-intensive illegal activity. The heavy-duty equipment and other machinery and chemicals used in galamsey cannot be afforded and purchased by the young men and women who get arrested on galamsey sites. These hired hands are not the ones who grant entry permits into forest reserves. Galamsey can only thrive if powerful and influential persons in society are actively funding such menace. The reasonable and irresistible conclusion is that it is controlled and funded by a network of corrupt public officials, politicians, traditional rulers, and wealthy and powerful business interests. Indeed, we will be playing the ostrich with our future if we pretend as we are at the moment. The government must be honest and bold and fish out these evil axis of powerful interest, engage in a wanton destruction of our environment, and deal with them decisively, irrespective of the status or political background of the individuals involved. If we refuse to act, the ravenous gluttony of our elite will completely destroy us as a nation.
Well, today the Attorney General has been defending the government's record on the fight against illegal mining. He has been taking on the main opposition NDC, which had demanded his resignation, accusing him of complicity in a cover-up to shield government officials implicated by former Environment Minister Professor Frimpong Boateng in that his explosive report on illegal mining. Thankfully, the Deputy Attorney General, Alfred Yeboah, joins us right now on the telephone line. Mr. Yeboah, thanks for your time here on Top Story.
Thank you very much, Ivan.
We'll also be joined by Sami Jemfi, who is a National Communications Officer of the NDC. He has addressed a news conference on Monday demanding the resignation of the Attorney General, and that has, of course, compelled the Attorney General today to put out that statement. Mr. Chayebwa, the Ghana Bar Association, as we just heard there today, delivered its verdict on your government fight against illegal mining. The GBA president says, quote, despite the efforts and assurances of government to deal with the menace, there appears to be a general consensus that not much has been done to effectively and roundly deal with it, end quote. That is a validation of the NDC position, is it not?
Thank you very much, my brother. Now, the menace of galamsey is something that we are all concerned about. It is a fight that we need to win. It is a fight that cannot be won by a single individual. It needs a collective effort. And that's why I'm happy that the Ghana Association is also coming on board. Why do I say they're coming on board? Because they are part of the system. We expect that. We also have input as to how we can get evidence to nail the big fishes. We are ready to receive such evidence. The practice has been that anytime those small fishes are arrested and are undergoing prosecution or undergoing investigation, they do not reveal the very big people that we claim are behind them. And the name of every prosecution is evidence. Unless you get evidence to nail the big fishes, we can continue to say it. We can continue to comment about the presence of these big fishes somewhere, but we cannot get a result. So it is the duty of all of us. If we have any piece of evidence against any big person, at least, if nothing at all, there are two pieces of legislation that we can rely on to let the security agents have it. You can go under as a whistleblower. The agents will listen to you. They will take it up. Or you want to be a witness. You want to be protected. There's a witness protection law available. So the GBA is welcome, and we also encourage them, all members of the GBA, if we have any evidence that they think we need so that we can also nail those people behind this dastardly act, we are ready to receive that piece of evidence.
In the statement today, you made the same point of the NDC, that the NDC too in their press conference failed to provide any specific evidence directed at the individuals named in the Frimpong Boateng report, but they pointed you to the multimedia investigations done by my colleague Irasasari Donko, in which we showed the extent of damage caused to the environment and the health of humans by illegal mining by a company called Heritage Imperial Limited, something you acknowledge. So is that evidence enough?
Now, when it comes to evidence, there is evidence available that our forest reserve has been tolerated or that it's been damaged by illegal mining. The whole issue is who caused that kind of damage you're talking about, or destruction. Before you go to court as a prosecutor, you must be sure that you have the evidence connecting the accused person to the offense that you're talking about. So until we get satisfactory evidence that we are very sure that, for example, Evans, I'm using your name, is the one who caused destruction to Forest A as a result of galamsey, there's no way we can hold before a court just to go to court and embarrass ourselves. But in any event, when it comes to criminal prosecution, and a piece of advice can be offered today, it does not close the matter. If tomorrow there's ample evidence to revisit that issue, it can be done. I've made this point time and again, that an opinion or an advice rendered by the Attorney General does not automatically mean that the matter has come to an end, because such a suspect has not been acquitted and discharged. So if there's any evidence connecting whether a company or an individual, that evidence will have to be made available to the security agencies. I may cite an example to the police service, or you can even go to Yoko. These are the things that we need. Yeah, and so if a political party thinks that there's enough evidence out there That's why the AG indicated in his response, at least we are ready to receive evidence. That evidence will be used, but we must also place on record. When we receive a docket from the police or any of the investigative bodies, we do not just straight away say that, oh, this one is guilty, or this one is not guilty, or this one can be prosecuted, or this can be prosecuted. It goes through a series of things. And if you come to the Office of Attorney General, we have seasoned attorneys who are in the ministry. They have teams. If a docket is brought, it is sent to one of the teams within the DPP's office. An attorney or attorneys are assigned to such a docket. They will comb through the docket, look at the law, look at the evidence. Even after they have done that one, they have to also take that to the group head. The group head will go through before it gets to the DPP and at times before it even gets to.
Yeah, so there's an elaborate process. But I want to circle back to the subject around evidence and to the subject of the Heritage Interior Limited, because you address it in your statement. Now, you admit that documentary had evidence of damage caused to the environment by the illegal mining activities of that company. You clearly also state in that statement that you issued today that the directors of Heritage Imperial, you say, are also directors in another company. In fact, you provide the name C&J Alaska Limited. You conclude, however, that, quote, no part of our documentary, that video, showed evidence of any acts committed specifically by any individual mentioned above. But did you question these directors about the destruction their company was evidently seen inflicting on the environment, since you acknowledge that there was damage?
Now, the AG's office, as you know, we do not investigate.
But you have the powers to advise the police to do so. You've done that in many cases.
Yes, it is the duty of the police or the investigation body to investigate. Before they send a docket to us, they have done what they were supposed to do and what they have gained out of, or they've gotten out of their investigations. So far as we are concerned, if a docket is brought to us and we do not understand anything, we write back to the police that, can you look at this place, but based on the evidence available on the docket, and based on the fact that the police said they had conducted their own investigations, the only conclusion that we reached was that some of the persons named in that report could not be prosecuted, but there are others that we think we should look further. But as I said, if tomorrow there's evidence to the fact that company A was actually the company that engaged in that activity, nothing stops us from also.
But that evidence in the case of Heritage Imperial exists. It's out there. We have done that work. Have you asked the police to investigate? Because you also named the directors yourself in your statement, to investigate these directors and the owners and their complicity in the destruction that is evidently shown.
Whatever the police did, I can assure you once. Last week, I heard the AG speak on your network. If people may want to know what the police did in this particular matter, fortunately, we have the Right to Information Act. The police will tell you we did A, B, C, D, and E. And if you realize that what they gave you on the docket, what they have on the docket is not enough, and you have any other evidence that they didn't have, nothing stops anyone from providing them with that piece of evidence.
Joining me is Sami Jamefi, who obviously did a press conference on Monday. Mr. Jamefi, the AG statement questioned your party's record on the fight against illegal mining. The point there is that you have no moral authority to be pointing fingers at him and demanding his resignation, because your party's record on this matter is wretched. You accept that?
Well, first of all, I'm surprised to hear my good friend and brother, the Deputy Attorney General, say that we are all concerned about the menace of illegal mining. They shouldn't try to fool anybody, because nobody can or will be fooled in this matter. Ghanaians know that we are all not concerned about the menace of illegal mining. Our friends in the NPP, our friends in this government are happy, and in fact are responsible for the thriving illegal mining enterprise in this country. They are ready to protect and shield persons against whom incontrovertible evidence exists as having engaged in illegal mining. And so he should spare us this rhetoric about all of us being concerned. If they were concerned, about the legal mining, they would not have uttered the legal opinion which is currently under review, which legal opinion seeks to cover up the serious crimes that persons in this government have committed against the state through illegal mining. You see, the Attorney General says that in our press conference, we played a documentary by Joy News, which shows the destruction of forests in Ghana as a result of illegal mining, but that there was no evidence of illegal mining in the said documentary or any evidence that ties any of the named persons in the Frimpong Boateng report to that destruction. Even Heritage Imperial Limited is a company registered under the laws of this country. A simple search at the Registrar General Department will reveal the shareholders and directors of the company. And if they are not done so, I can tell them that the shareholders of that company are Mr. Reynolds Kwabi and Mr. Emmanuel Donald Enshia. These are indisputable facts. Now, it is also an indisputable fact that on the 25th of October 2018, this company was issued with a prospecting license to go and prospect for gold in the Pamprama Forest Reserve. Anybody who doubts this can simply Google this. You will see the minister, the NPP Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, who issued and signed this prospecting license. He is called Honorable Asoma Chreme. The Deputy Attorney General on the line knows him very well. They come from the same region, Bono region, my region. And he is on public record to have said that he issued that prospecting license on the 25th of October 2018. Now, on the 5th of December 2018, the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining raided the site of this company. And when they went there, they saw that the company was not engaged in prospecting as allowed by their prospecting license, but that they were actually engaged in illegal mining. That is also a fact, because in that documentary that we showed, you see evidence of mining. During prospecting, you don't use excavators or payloaders. What is allowed during prospecting, the experts will tell you, is the drilling of pits for the collection of samples and trenching. Nobody does prospecting with payloaders and excavators. Yet, the task force sees close to 30 excavators and other heavy-duty mining equipment from that site. Not just that, they also seize gold from the site. The leader of that task force is still alive. He is called Chum Ampofo Ajikum. The Deputy Attorney General on the line and his boss know him. I am daring them, and I will want to call on Joy News to interview that gentleman. He will tell you that after the raid, he submitted a report to the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining, specifically the Secretary Charles Bisu, and he handed over to them the gold they seized from the site, including what is called black, which is, in other words, concentrated gold. They had a pickup full of black seized from that site. Who mines and washes gold during prospecting? So the evidence was clear. Again, on the 11th of January 2019, anybody who doubts this can also Google it. The Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, after this raid, visited that site himself with the media. And when he went there, he confirmed that the company was operating illegally. He said they were engaged in illegal mining exploration and that they didn't have the license to do that. And he consequently suspended their prospecting license. So when you come out and tell us that in the face of all these incontrovertible pieces of evidence, you don't have evidence to prosecute or recommend the prosecution of Donald Enshia, you are a bloody liar, and you should not be entertained on programs like this. You guys have no love for this country, and that is why you continue to cover up crimes, and you have the audacity to still come and speak on air and say we are all concerned. Concerned about what? As Attorney General, you rightly told him that they have the power to direct the police on their investigations. Beyond going to Frimpong Boateng's house to ask him for further information on the matters contained in his report, and beyond
inviting the persons named in the reports, okay, to give their response to the allegations that have been made against them by Professor Frimpong Boakye. Tell me, what other investigations did they do? Did they visit Krobo or Apapramine Forest Reserve? Did they talk to the members of the task force who raided this site, seized their equipment, and arrested Chinese for engaging in illegal mining?
But that's the job of the that's the job of the police.
How can we allow government officials to lie like this?
Yeah, but Sammy, isn't that the work of the police to do that investigations?
But the police works under the Attorney General. The power to prosecute crime is the sole prerogative of the Attorney General.
But that must be based on
at the BS of the Attorney General. And so if the police does a shoddy work, if they sit in the confines of their offices in Accra and produce for you a docket without visiting the site of the alleged illegal mining, speaking to the members of the task force who actually arrested the illegal miners and seized their equipment, those who actually have evidence of the illegal mining, they didn't speak to any of them. And you're a prosecutor with your source, and they give you a docket. Will you even give a legal opinion?
I mean, Sammy,
you will straight away tell them to go and do a better job.
Sammy, stay on.
Because they are all neck deep in the cover-up. That is why they issue that legal opinion.
Sammy,
of covering up.
Sammy, stay on. Mr. Chaiba is on the line. Mr. Chaiba, in the case of Cecilia Dapa, you directed the police to do further investigations into some additional areas. Have you directed the police yet to do additional investigations into the evidence that is already available on Heritage Imperial Mining and Epapama Forest?
The advice that was uttered by the office, the police was directed to investigate three individuals who also named in the report. That is what we did.
That is false. I can tell you that is false, and I can read the relevant portions of the said advice. What the Attorney General said was that with regards to the missing excavators, the police was already investigating the matter, and that they have asked the police to conclude investigations into the matter.
So what does it mean?
That is what they said. But with regards to
Sammy, just a second.
They did not call for any further investigation.
Yeah, and just a second, Mr. Chaiba. Even beyond that, I reference your statement today that on set Mante, John Oforiata, and Okowusi were alleged to be involved in the sale of excavators. Whilst you mentioned that, and then you've asked the police to continue with that particular probe.
Exactly. So Sammy must take his time. This kind of people being so paranoid about whatever public officers do in this ministry, I think we need to look at it well. We are dealing with professionals. Sammy is the lawyer, just like my good self. He knows. He knows, and I also know that even if you utter a piece of advice today, that will not end the matter. And so if you are clearing someone, it means that the person can be prosecuted again. That's only when you say, fine, the person has gone through legal process, has been acquitted and discharged. We are mindful of that. So whatever legal opinion that we utter, as already said, if you disagree with us, it's fair. At least you may have your own opinion. Now you think that this one is not, because after all, we are not people who can say that we know everything. But if you're also a very good citizen and you have evidence to that effect, what do? You gather the evidence.
He doesn't have the evidence we are talking about here.
You gather the evidence, and then you go to the agency and say, fine, if you're saying that this matter, they cannot advise on it. Because, Sammy, can you hold on? Sammy, can we have a civil conversation? Ivan, can we have a civil conversation?
Over this same matter, the so-called illegal.
Sammy, just hold on for a second. I mean, this definitely will be interrogated. And Mr. Chaiba, I made that point earlier, referencing your statement. But the question here is beyond what was already been investigated, that you've asked the police to conclude. The question is about the additional evidence available, which you actually reference, and also concede in the statement that you actually know the directors and that they actually directed for another company. The question is, have you asked the police to investigate those directors? Because you saw their company engage in wanton destruction of the environment.
If we find any evidence that points to the fact that certain individuals are into illegal mining, we will direct the police to take it up.
Even can I come in now?
Stay on for me.
I beg you, it's a
no, Sammy. I am moderating this conversation. Let me ask the question. I'll bring you in. You definitely have your say on the matter, because I need to ask Mr. Chiayibwa on that subject.
Around your question.
No, wait, but that's why I moderate this. Stay on for me. I'll come to you, Mr. Chiayibwa. On this point, same point. The question is a very simple one. You say in your statement, you actually admit that you saw the evidence of the destruction in the Joy News documentary. You know the directors. You know that beyond Heritage Imperial, they are actually also, directors in another company. The question is simple. You have the power to direct the police, having seen the evidence of the company's involvement. Have you done so?
Even as I said, our report is to the fact that the police were directed to investigate 3 other persons. We have not. We have not done so. But what I'm saying is that, in the event that there is any fresh evidence that we need to direct the police to do further investigations, we'll do it.
I don't understand this, Ivan. Listen, when the company in question, the Heritage Imperial.
But Sammy, I have not come to you. The man hasn't finished. Let him land on this point, and you will come in. Okay,
Exactly.
Please wrap up. Your point is what? That when you have fresh evidence, what fresh evidence do you require now, besides what is already available?
Yes, Sammy has indicated that he has all the evidence indicating that a named person or company was into illegal mining. Fair enough. We will not fight him. If he has that evidence, we are saying submit the evidence to the appropriate authorities for them to do further investigation. At least we are all citizens. We are not saying we know everything. Yeah. At least, if you have it, this kind of political game that we want to play, is it going to resolve the issue that we have?
But
we have uttered our opinion.
Yeah, I ask again.
You have something more than the opinion you've uttered.
I ask again, Mr. Chiayibwa, you forget for a second about what Sammy Jemfi claims he has. I'm referencing your statement. You say that the reference to show the video by Multimedia Broadcasting Company, portraying the extent of damage caused to the environment and the health of humans by a legal mining company. You name the company. They said the havoc occasioned by galamsey activity. This is not in doubt. And indeed, prosecution is being undertaken in respect of offenses committed in various galamsey regions. I'm still quoting your statement. It is noted that most of the directors of Heritage Imperial were also directors in another company, CNG Alaska Limited. It is, however, pertinent to note that no part of the video showed evidence of any acts committed specifically by any of the individuals mentioned above. That's your statement. My question is, having agreed and admitted that this company and the video shows destruction, have you directed the police to probe to find that evidence of those behind that company?
As we speak, we have not done so because those named directors have not been linked to that destruction. But if we get further information that they are linked, my brother, we'll definitely direct them to do it.
But how do you get that information? But how do you get that information if you do not instruct the police to specifically look for it, like you did in the Leather Park case?
Leather Park matter, I don't want us to go into that. But the fact is, if you utter an opinion or advice to the police, we can direct them. In this particular instance, we never directed them. But if there is fresh evidence to the effect that we need to direct them, we'll do it.
Mr. Jemfi, he has a point, that yes, it exists, but there's nothing fresh to proceed on, and that's why they have
what fresh? Why do they need fresh evidence when they already have the evidence, all the evidence they need to bring criminal prosecutions, criminal proceedings against Heritage Imperial? Does the Deputy Attorney General know that on the 11th of January 2019, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources wrote to revoke the prospecting license of Heritage Imperial? Is he aware? Does he know that their prospecting license was revoked because the ministry found evidence that they were operating illegally in the Paprama Forest Reserve? Is he aware of that? Is he aware that that letter which revoked the prospecting license of the company made reference to the very multimedia clip we played at our press conference? Is he aware of that? Is he aware that a task force set up by his own government arrested workers of Heritage Imperial, some of whom were Chinese, for engaging in illegal mining, seized the equipment, including gold they had mined from the Pampama Forest Reserve? Has he cared to direct the police to speak to any of the people who were part of that task force? You see, the answer to all these questions is that he is aware of all the questions I asked. But they are not interested in inviting the right people who have custody of this knowledge, personal knowledge of these matters, and custody of the evidence. Because they are not interested in unearthing the truth. They are interested in covering up the truth. And it is so sad that public officers who are paid by the state to protect all of us will go to this extent of protecting wrongdoers at the expense of our collective survival.
I mean, they're just following
we are
procedure.
losing our water bodies, our land, our forest reserves, and everything.
And they're simply just following procedure. I mean, the rule of natural justice. I mean, nobody is guilty until they are proving otherwise. You're innocent until proving guilty.
Nobody says somebody is guilty until proving innocent. We are saying that you have issued a legal opinion saying that you have no evidence to ground the prosecution of certain persons who have been named in the report of the former Minister for Environment, Professor Frimpong Boateng. And we are telling you and actually pointing you to the evidence. And you are saying, oh, even though you are pointing me to the evidence that they already have, he says, oh, if we get fresh evidence. So what about the evidence you already have? I want to tell Lawyer Siayeboa, my good friend, when he goes to the office tomorrow, you should ask his boss that when Heritage Imperial sued Ghana for the unlawful seizure of the equipment, his boss wrote to the Interministerial Committee to furnish him with all the evidence on the activities of Heritage Imperial and why the equipment had been seized. In a response to that letter, the secretary to the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining forwarded to his boss, the Attorney General Godfred Dame, all the evidence from the EPA, from the Forestry Commission, and from the Lands Commission that show that the company was mining illegally. You are lying for claiming that you don't have the evidence when you have it.
Sami Jemfi, thank you very much. Mr. Siayeboa, finally, is there a cover-up?
There isn't. How long are you going to cover it up? You are not acquitting and discharging the person. The person, if he's actually involved, could be held before any court at any time. Now, Sami has mentioned certain documents and references. That's very good. If we follow up, and that's the case, I mean, we are public officers. Why wouldn't we consider suspense? That's why we need to take our time. At the end of the day, if someone needs to be prosecuted, I give the assurance that that person will be prosecuted. And advice, even by the Attorney General, does not close the case permanently. It can be reopened at any time. He has now pointed certain pieces of information out. We'll follow up. If there's a need to change it, why not? But if there's nothing, then we cannot conjure it.
So just for clarity, you are committing tonight here on the show that you will follow up on the details as been articulated by Sami Jemfi.